The data link layer, layer 2 of the OSI model, is named the data link layer because it links data. It links data from the physical to the logical. So the data link layer sits between the physical, the wire or the wireless network, the media, and the logical network layer. The data link layer sits right in the middle, and it links data across. And at the data link layer, we have physical addressing. We have the MAC address, the Media Access Control address, which is burned into every network interface card and assigned to routers on a network. And it depends on the network topology as to what type of components that we might have. For example, we might have a different type of network interface card. In fact, we would have a different type of network interface card if we were using Ethernet versus if we were using token ring. We'll talk more about different technologies and different topologies based on the technology later on in this training. At the data link layer, error notification takes place. For example, if I were going to want to send some information on a computer and somebody else wants to send some information and they're in the same network that I am, they're in the same subnet, and they send information at exactly the same time, then it hits the wire at exactly the same time, and that could cause what's called a collision. We'll talk about collisions later on, but a collision is an error in the network. And the data link layer would then be responsible for resolving that, for resending the packets that need to be resent, for restarting the system, and try to keep from causing any more collisions. So the data link layer is divided into two sublayers. The two sublayers are the logical link control layer and the media access control layer. The logical link control layer links back up to the network layer. And the logical link control is sort of the sub-layer that is responsible for all network communications. It manages network communications at a sub-level. The media access control layer links downward toward the physical layer. And the media access control layer contains the physical address, the MAC address. So the media access control layer defines a unique physical address for every component, for every network interface card that is on the network. Every network interface card has its own unique physical address, like a fingerprint, which is made up of the organizational ID, the organization that put together the network interface card, such as 3Com, and then a unique address. We'll talk more about that later on as well. But each unique MAC address is represented in the data link layer, and the data link layer is then responsible for defining all these unique physical addresses. The unique physical addresses are what the computers use to communicate. When it really comes down to it, the packet can't get delivered to its destination, to the host that it was designed to be delivered to in the first place, until the MAC address is known. Now, it may not have to be known right away. It can be delivered to the right subnet using the logical address, but in order to be delivered to the destination address, the MAC address has to be used. So all of this happens through the OSI model. All this happens when communication takes place between computers. And the data link layer then would feed the information out onto the wire. When we get out onto the wire, and we're actually talking about physical characteristics then we're at what's called the physical layer. We'll talk about the physical layer next.